onboarding and theories related to that. Then we have retention. What is retention? Theories related to retention. And we have strategies for onboarding and retention. And then we have conclusion. Going ahead, onboarding. So what is onboarding? Onboarding is an essential process designed to facilitate the integration of new employees in an organization and a company. It serves as a bridge between the pre-hiring stage and the employee's full immersion of the role into an organization. The main objectives of onboarding are to provide new hires with the information, resources, and support they need to become productive and engaged members of the team. For some organizations, the onboarding process consists of 1 or 2 days of activities. For other organizations, it may involve series of activities that last up to one or many several months. Onboarding is often confused with orientation. Obviously, while orientation is necessary for completing paperwork and other routine tasks, onboarding is a comprehensive process involving management and other employees that can last up to like 12 months. All new employees are onboarded, but the quality of the onboarding makes a difference. Too often, onboarding consists of handing new employees a file, paperwork, pile of forms, and the supervisor or the HR professional has, walk around the employees, around the premises, and make them familiar with the environment. The significance of onboarding lies in its potential to set the stage for an employee's long-term success and job satisfaction. So, a well executed onboarding process can positively influence an employee's perception of the company, their confidence in their abilities, and their sense of belonging within the organization. This in turn can lead to higher retention rates, increased productivity, and a more vibrant workplace culture. So, Gallup's creating an exceptional onboarding journey for your new employee suggests that there are 5 questions that need to be addressed to create an exceptional employee experience. The 5 questions are: what do we believe in around here? What are my strengths? What is my role? Who are my partners? What does my future here look like? So imagine an onboarding process where all 5 of these questions are get answered comprehensively. The result is an employee who feels bonded to their team, knows what their talents are, and what they care about, understands what they're supposed to do with the organization. They also know their direction of the where the direction of their career is taking. That's an employee who is prepared fully to embrace their new role and likely to succeed at it. So, going ahead, Niharika will be telling you about the theories.
Just a moment, guys. I'm having a technical issue here, I guess. So now I'm going to be talking about the theories that can influence the process of onboarding. Here's a little video. So what do you guys think happened here? Does anybody have an answer to that? Yes.
It's conforming to the pattern of.
Absolutely agree. So this is a renowned theory explained by psychologist Albert Bandura, which says that people learn through observation. He explains in his theory that people have 3 ways of learning, which are verbal instructions, live models, and symbolism. This theory by Sir Albert can be used to influence the process of onboarding in an organization. So when you first enter an organization, you will get verbal instructions from your trainers. They'll tell you what is where, what you have to do. And so this will help you get accustomed to the organization. Now you need to make sure that these instructions are easily retainable and your employees are not feeling overburdened by these instructions. Because for example, at my first day on my Tim Hortons job, I got a lot of instructions of where things are, how things are done. But it was very difficult for me to retain and I had to re-ask my superiors about a lot of things. So you need to make sure they're easily retainable. Then second, when you have done with the verbal instructions, you will shadow your supervisors or experienced professionals to learn how things are done. Here, the way your employees act, the culture they are promoting, and their attitude is very important because trainees will learn from your experienced employees. And after that, your trainees have learned from your experienced employees and they actually start working, you need to make sure that there is positive reinforcement because if people don't know that there will be positive consequences of positive actions, they might not be even interested in taking those actions. So positive reinforcement will play a major role. This is a funny example of positive reinforcement.
Thank you. How thoughtful. Would you like a chocolate?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Oh, sorry, Sheldon, I almost sat in your spot.
Did you? I didn't notice. Have a chocolate.
So I hope you guys get what is reinforcement now.
Are you?
Now I think everybody knows what the Maslow's theory is. It's very famous. But this Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory can be used to influence the process of onboarding in an organization. What we can do is to fulfill the first steps of needs, which are physiological and safety needs, you can provide your employees with all the tools and all the space that they need to fulfill their tasks and their jobs. You also need to make sure that the employees in your organization feel safe. They have a safe space where they can work properly. So that is important to fulfill the first set of needs. After that comes the belonging and esteem needs. Giving your employees a warm welcome, making them feel special, making them feel that they are a part of your tribe can help fulfill these belonging and esteem needs for your new employees. And after that comes the last set of needs, which are self-actualization needs. I know self-actualization can be a long journey for employees, but you can make sure that employees in the beginning have proper clarity and guidance regarding where they're heading in the company. You can ask your employees to have meetings with the direct managers to discuss about their strengths and weaknesses since the very beginning so that they can reach their full potential. So that is with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'll ask Tanisha to take over.
Moving forward, we come to the improving onboarding process. So we came across 4 concepts that you can help to improve the onboarding process. The first one is reduce anxiety with cognitive closure. So consider the powerful concept of cognitive closure in the context of onboarding, where the unknown can be a cause of worry for new hires. Our employees desire clear solutions during their onboarding experience, much as we seek clarity with navigating unfamiliar environments. So, recognizing this intrinsic need, we may improve the onboarding process by developing a strong pre-boarding plan, aided by innovative new hire onboarding softwares. This approach not only addresses uncertainties, but it also empowers our new team members by allowing them to actively participate in their own integration to our business. We set the path for a smoother transition and a more confident, engaged staff by adopting cognitive closure. The second one is reducing the cognitive overload. The first week of joining is very frequently a jungle of learning new best practices, standards, and procedures. Psychologists call this stage as cognitive overload. When your brain is given too much information at once, it is unable to prioritize which information is necessary, which information is needs to come first, what needs to be processed first. So, and it hence ignores everything, whatever's processing in their brain. So cognitive overload is unproductive, making new employees feel scared and incapable. We can prevent overburdening your new hires by extending the orientation period and then structuring your training approach rather than cramming everything into a single week. Give staff only the most important information in the first few days and then gradually add layers of complexity. Create information libraries where employees can go if they forget a particular procedure or policy. An internal knowledge base serves as a form of institutional memory, reducing some of the cognitive load on the staff. The third one is enhancing the psychological contract. So, the psychological contract refers to the implicit and unspoken expectations between the employers and the employees, underlining every interaction within the organization. Although not explicitly recognized, it plays a crucial role in shaping the work relationship between the employees and the employers. Onboarding training is an opportunity to establish a mutual agreement built on trust and open communication. So the contract involves employees completing tasks in exchange for compensation, recognition, and growth opportunities. Over time, additional elements such as trust and honesty, communication have become an integral part of the contract. A strong psychological contract forms the basis of fostering an engaged and for the loyal workforce. The last one would be providing psychological safety to employees. So when the employees are confident that they can take risks, ask questions, and offer feedback without feeling judged, embarrassed, degraded, or worried about their careers, they feel psychologically at ease. Many business psychologists believe that the psychological safety is an essential attribute for a high-performing team because it allows their team members to think effectively and take calculated risks without fear of repercussions if they make any errors or mistakes. So new employees are generally insecure about their position in a firm and they are unfamiliar with the company culture and lack confidence in their role. However, if they feel psychologically comfortable, they will learn more effectively and they might feel a little secured about what's going to start. So moving forward, Sanjana will take up retention.
Thank you, Tanisha. So me and Panika will be discussing about the retention part. So did you know that it costs the company 33% of employees' annual salary to replace them? Now, that's not just a number. It's a silent financial leak that many organizations are grappling with. Today, we will delve into the world of employee retention, a puzzle that, when solved, not only safeguards your budget, but also lays the foundation for unparalleled high performance. So now, yes, I'm talking about retention. Retention refers to an organization's ability to retain its employees over a certain period. It is a crucial aspect of workforce management and is often linked to job satisfaction, engagement, and overall organizational culture. Retaining high-performance employees is particularly important for organizational success as these individuals contribute significantly to achieving the company's goals and objectives. And there's a phrase said that sustaining success through engagement is actually retention. Moving forward, Parnika will explain you how retention, engagement, and high performance are correlated.
We believe that retention just means retaining the person who's leaving the company or just giving them or matching the offer they have. But actually it means like giving them the atmosphere where they can work. So apart from just giving them the atmosphere, we need to recognize recognize their efforts and reward them for them. For me, rewarding could be like a work from a home job, some days off. Someone could like some spa days or something. That's different to everyone else. So apart from that, we chose engagement as a key factor between retention and high performance because it's what makes the company work. Engagement is a company differs how one organization and another work. So engagement is the main fuel which makes the experience different for every other employee. Apart from that, due to the different engagement patterns in their company, there's a relationship between every leader and the people working with them, every hierarchy person working. Apart from that, it's an interconnection between retention and high performance, which makes the foundation of the organization. Next, I would like Sanjana to explain the theory.
Thank you. So I'll be talking about the first theory, which is job embedded theory, which is related to retention in the real world. So job embeddedness theory was started by Michel and Lee in 2001, and this suggests that employees' decisions to stay in the organization is influenced by the connections which they have inside and outside the organization. So these connections can include relationships with colleagues, involvement in community activities, and personal reasons for staying within the organization. So this theory particularly emphasizes on the importance of understanding the broader concept in which employees are embedded. And how is it linked to managing high performance? It fosters a sense of belonging and community. So this theory suggests that employees are influenced by their connections and links within and outside the organization. So to manage high performance, organizations can foster a sense of belonging and community, ensuring that employees are deeply embedded in their roles, teams, and overall organizational culture. Building these relationships and networks within the workplace contributes to job satisfaction and consequently high performance. Now, every theory has their own pros and cons. So for this theory, the main pro is a holistic perspective and long-term focus. So this takes a holistic view of employees' retention by considering work-related and non-work-related factors. And it emphasizes a long-term commitment through social and personal connections contributing to employee retention. Now, the main limitation is that it has a limited generalizability. So the importance of embeddedness factors may vary among individuals and across different organizational contexts. So we actually researched that this theory was taken by Google at some point of time, and what was its impact? As we know that Google provides a range of on-site facilities, like encourages collaboration through open office spaces and offers various non-work related activities as well. So this approach contributes to a sense of belonging among the employees and has likely played a role in Google's ability to retain employees. So now next theory will be explained by Pranita.
So expectancy theory, it's by Victor Bloom. So what do you think expectancy theory could refer to? So basically it refers to how an employer decides to stay in a company or leave the company depending on the expectations. So as an employee, I expect the company to see the efforts I'm putting into work and how my efforts are coming as a success for the company, the performance, and how they reward me. So that's how basically an employee decides whether I should work for this company some more time or just change my organization, which has been my decision as well, like how my company was rewarding me. I guess someone else's decision was that. Our expectation, I guess, as ours was. Thanks for that. So the main link, how this theory relates retention and managing high performance is by building a link between the efforts and the rewards. And there are also a pro, which is the clear link which the employee can see that this is the amount of efforts I'm putting into my work. This is the sales or the performance and how it's giving a growth to the company, and the rewards I'm getting in return from the company. And the con is different, definitely the individual differences. I'd like to explain this with an example. So my brother was working in a company. He got an offer and he just gave in his papers because he wasn't getting the work environment to work. The company decided to compensate his offer by giving him a rise in the package and giving him like days off. But they didn't understand he was looking to work for a new sector. Even after communicating that he's looking to work in a different sector, after giving in his papers, the company decides like, let's give him a new vertical to work on. And this is how they opted to like retain him by, so this is how the reward was what worked for him, and for me it was something different back then. I would like to welcome Tosin to put some light on the strategies of onboarding and retention.
Thank you. We'll be talking about the onboarding strategies. There are a lot of organizations that have a great onboarding process and retention, but we are looking at Google, Netflix, and Microsoft. Some 7% of Google employees and 56% of Netflix employees have reported a positive onboarding process. The onboarding process had a lasting impression on them, and they can always go back to the onboarding process we had, which was a fantastic one. Now, these organizations have similar processes in place. The process of the onboarding is similar. The first one they do is the pre-boarding, and this occurs just before the new hire resumes. This comes up before the first day of resumption of the new employees. Documentations are signed. There are frequent communications with the new hire. Working space and tools are set up for the new hire, and also some documentations are sent to the new hire for him to read, to have a knowledge about the organization he's going to be working with, just to have a pre-understanding of what the organization is into. And also there is onboarding body. This person is attached to the new hire. Now the function of this person is to guide this new hire on the working process. That he directs the new hire on placing the cafeteria, for instance. He mentors the new hire and also shows him around the organization. He guides him through the initial days of his work. This person is responsible for also introducing the new hire to fellow colleagues in the organization and also helping to get comfortable and familiar with the new environment. Now the onboarding session, this is actually the stage where the trainings are done, the orientation. It's encompassing because it takes a while for this process to actually be done. It's not rushed. These organizations, Google, Netflix, Microsoft, they don't rush the onboarding process because they want the new employees to understand what the organization is into and what is required of them. So it takes some months for them to do this. And it elaborates the roles and responsibilities that the new hire will be doing in the organization. It talks about the product and services of the organization, their mission, the values, their culture, the benefits that the employee will get, the pay fees and the rest of it, and also the organizational design and structure. Now, after this onboarding session, they have the one-on-ones. There's what they call one-on-ones, and this is actually done within the working period or maybe in an event, whenever they organize events. And it's actually aimed at building connections within the organization. And it's also aimed at gaining knowledge and sharing ideas with experienced employees in the organization. The new hires get to meet with experienced employees in the organization, whereby they connect, they ask questions, they get to know each other, and also in this process, they get the opportunity to meet with top executives, top managers. There's feedbacks and sharing of ideas amongst them. Now we'll look at the retention strategies they use in the organization. There is the organizational culture, and in this process, the employees tend to live the culture of the organization. There is a reality shaping power here. They tend to live the culture of the organization, the values and the vision of the organization. And the employees they have the freedom to make decisions, to bring in their own initiative in whatever decision the organization is taking. They feel they are valued and also empowered to do things that are for the benefit of the organization. They are not micromanaged because they have been empowered to go out and make decisions for the progress of the organization. There's the benefits and perks, which keeps the employee happy and satisfied, not just dressing down on Fridays or working from home, no, but these are benefits that will make the employees happy. It may be like long paid annual leave, vacations, just to make them happy, or maybe like giving them some things that would be of benefit to their families also. There is also the career and development which they do for the employees, and this is trainings. It helps in the development of their career and also help them to feel engaged in the organization. And they also organize mentoring and coaching programs for the employees, which also help them to grow in their field of expertise. There's a positive work-life balance. And these employees are offered the flexible working hours. It makes them balance their private lives with their work. And this helps to reduce stress or burnout. They don't feel they are burned out of the workload or anything. They have projects that they are working on, they have assignments that have been given, but it doesn't stress them out. So that makes them happy, like, yes, I'm working in an organization that doesn't stress me. I have deadlines, I have targets, but it doesn't weigh them down. There's transparency and communication. So the openness of communication allows the organization to share their performance strategy with the employees. They will be able to, this would allow the employees to feel they are part of the organization, they will feel they are involved in the mission and value of the organization, and also would allow them to put in their feedback and also their inputs in whatever decision the organization is making. So in conclusion, a well-structured and great onboarding will give a lasting impression on the employees. They will always remember how they were treated. They will always remember what was done for them in the future. They will always remember, oh yes, and also they will refer the organization to other applicants, like come work in our organization, it's a great place to work, and then they will be happy and they're satisfied working for that organization. According to research, a good onboarding will create a 2% employee retention, and also the performance will increase productivity by 70%. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow, you provided an extremely rich PowerPoint as a launch point for everybody in this class, right? That's a deliverable, and that's one of the keys, and that's terrific. Questions from So I really like the fact that you guys pushed through and over the idea of incentives. Can you go back a few slides to that? I want to pick it up. Benefits and perks, right? Those are nice things, but they're not what really engages. It's organizational culture, right? And then career development opportunities and whatnot. So a lot of times in the past, and we're in a group that doesn't do its homework like you guys did, might just have focused on, you get free pet insurance and you get foosball in the lunchroom and stuff like that, right? And for a while, that was a big thing in Silicon Valley to try and attract and retain employees. And it's very short term. And it's do I feel safe in this organization? Do I have a future in this organization? And are they burning me out, right? Tesla will tell you, they do a really good onboarding process, but they tell you, we don't expect you to last more than 4 or 5 years with us. Which is a little bit scary, right? But because they burn you out. But they also say, no assholes here. I think I said that last time, that word, but they have this, like, if you're gonna be a jerk, don't stay. So part of their onboarding is if we miss that you're a jerk, and you're a jerk, don't stay, right? And then they kind of say, if you last this long, we give you stock options, there's lots of incentives that way. So it's an interesting model that they have. Like, we really don't expect to keep you much more than that, because we'll probably burn you out. But we'll compensate you well, and we won't surround you with a bunch of jerks, right? So it's an interesting trade-off that they're utilizing. We've seen onboarding done horribly, and I love the stats. Can you go back to the stats? Good onboarding, 82%, things like that. Because this is all really true stuff. Somewhere there. The other direction. Oh, okay, yes, that's it, right. Performance increases, right? So it's part of shaping culture is onboarding. And culture is king, as we've talked about. I'm going to be producing that MISC lecture from a number of weeks ago that's going to occur like this week that you'll be able to see, which is pulling reality shaping together and ultimately about culture, shaping culture proactively. And you really captured the importance of doing effective onboarding. Some organizations process you through, and that's kind of like the distinction that you made there, which was really good. Onboarding versus orientation, right? Don't confuse the two. You've got to do an orientation, of course. You've got to watch the safety videos. You've got to check the boxes and make sure everybody's been. But that's not an onboarding. You nailed it. or onboarding is enculturating, right, people and showing them, you know, how do we do things around here, right? And how do you perform well and how do you, get ahead, things like that. So, really, really comprehensive, great integration of theory, bringing in Bandura and the idea of reducing anxiety with cognitive closure. Think about, when you're doing your onboarding stuff, think about what you would feel like coming in. Because once you've been enculturated, you're pretty comfortable, right? And it's like, oh yeah, we're all cool here, everything's good. But that person who's coming in is like coming into a entirely new cultural context, and they won't know or feel about it what you will feel about it. And so it's really easy to forget what the other person must feel because you're comfortable, right? So, yeah.
Did you find any distinctions between onboarding an internal employee into a new role and onboarding an external employee?
A new employee from outside.
From outside, yeah. So an internal employee onboarding them into another role versus an external employee.
Maybe another division, not just a promotion, but you're moved over to another division or something.
I had a personal experience in that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
While onboarded to a new company, I was told like how the function works and how it is like this is the person you're reporting to, these are your employees, the team you'll be working with and all that. But when I moved to a different sector, they were also explaining like this all you have to look into, this is something you need to understand. Like there were concepts I didn't know, so I wasn't made aware of, there were videos I was made to watch. Like I was in the marketing department, I had to go over the like check how the sales are happening, I had to go on with the calls, do audits for them, so I was made aware what aspects I need to check for them.
Right, the language would have been different in the different sectors.
And how the different, like what parameters we judge it on and like share the feedback.
I also feel like, again, I work back home, right? And when I moved internally, they assume you know things.
Yeah.
Right? And that assumption, because of that, they don't give you all the details you
Yes.
need to, right? And
Yes.
that's like, I feel a stark difference. I work in recruitment. So onboarding is something I've done, right? Orientation as well as onboarding. And something that I always remember candidates used to come back, which was a pain point, was the paperwork. They did not like doing it, right? And I feel like the more you load them with, even if they get them earlier to do them online, it just doesn't help. They just don't like it, right?
We
But-
struggle with that as well, especially over the pandemic, the
Yeah.
T2202s,
It's hard, right? And like even if when they do it with a large session and there are 20 people sitting there, even then it sort of differs for every employee because they all have their individual nuances. Some have come from another country, some have worked in another country. All those weird things are there, which I think add to complicate onboarding. But like they did a great job explaining.
Yeah. Other comments or experiences being onboarded well or not onboarded well?
Like I think the more the company takes the time, I'm not saying that they should take a month or 2 or 3, but at least they should be good enough so that the employee feels comfortable within the company with its his or her superiors. They should be comfortable with talking to their superiors. At least that much of time is essential. Let's say I worked in my company and they took at least 2 weeks. They provided me with the the hard drives or whatever things were important for me to get it. They asked me to visit the company as well once. So this was a good experience for me. I visited the company, I met my supervisors, my managers, and then I had those 2 weeks to understand what their workings are, to watch the videos. So this is basically a good experience that the company gives. It gives you time to settle, and then you go back to work. So that's how you know the people as well you're working with, and the process as well you're going to work in.
We experience that cognitive overload whenever we go into a new organization for the first time. And, if it's manufacturing or big ag, or like, what are these yellow lines? I have no idea where I'm standing.
Right, like those employees who go in such a sectors, like you mentioned about manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
Like there, the hirings are like too much, like
Yes.
too much frequent.
Yes.
So they want the employees to join the very next day.
Yeah.
Now for that employee who is joining the very next day, it's a big hassle and battle for him, not her. So that's maybe a very bad onboarding experience that
We're
someone
not
had.
onboarded, their clients were just visiting the facility, but yeah.
It's scary.
It's overwhelming. I share that experience.
One of the things they mentioned was one-on-one thing, right? So that took me back to one of the things that in my former organization we had a buddy system, which really helped, right?
They
So
mentioned that,
yeah, so having that buddy, we used to onboard people in different sort of locations as well, right? So
Yeah.
somebody who's moving from India to the UK, they don't know the lay of the land in the UK, right? They, from a technical standpoint, they're great, but if they don't know how to find a house or which areas has good schools for their kids, not very easy, right? So I
We
think
have
that's
this buddy system in our
Yeah.
university as well,
Yeah,
right? Which is a
right.
great
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, as masters in
Yes.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Brilliant. Very good. You guys do it.
Thank
Okay. So let's get the next team up. Everybody take 5 minute break, and we'll come back and have the next team up. And Anjani, who holds the rubric, is going to meet me up in the front. I want to make sure we get the next team up. The next team is
Hello everyone, my name is Argo and here are my colleagues.
Masya Islam, Faria Ishrat.
We explore succession planning and today we're talking about the importance of this concept in human resources and why it is so crucial. So you can check out our agenda here. You will see what we will cover. Introduction, succession planning theory, relevance of theories, political aspects. So what is succession planning? The term succession planning refers to a business strategy companies use to pass leadership roles down to another employee. It is the process of identifying high potential employees, evaluating and developing their skills, and preparing them for advancement. Succession planning involves understanding the organization's long-term goals and objectives, identifying high potential people, and determining workforce trends and predictions. There are many succession planning models depending on the needs of an organization. However, most models follow a 5-step process. Identify key positions, identify high performers, prepare a participant, provide developmental opportunities, and monitor progress. Identifying key positions takes a holistic approach and needs the input of managers and executive sponsors regarding the knowledge, skills, abilities, and outcomes of an individual, current and future competency gaps, and environmental scanning to identify opportunities and obstacles in this process. To maximize succession plan initiative, it's important to identify critical employees through performance metrics and outputs. It's also important to ask not only who is ready now, but who might be ready in 3 to 5 years. Otherwise, organizations are depriving themselves of long-term pool diversity. Organizations will need to determine relevant competencies and experiences necessary for each of the potential area of succession. Succession planning requires individual input of each participant. An employee assessment can be an invaluable component of a gap analysis. This activity becomes a catalyst for productive conversation as well as an agreed understanding of what gaps should be addressed. We need to provide opportunities and solutions that address talent gaps and create accountability for leaders to develop successors. Employee development is almost universally recognized as a strategic tool for an organization's continued growth, productivity, and ability to retain valuable employees. Adherence to the plan in assessing current competencies and determining where the skill gaps are and taking steps to close the gap over time. It is all part of our monitoring obligation. The success of our succession planning is determined by the efforts to keep the succession moving forward over time, despite the predictable intrusion of operational needs and unexpected organizational changes. Succession planning is a critical component of an organization to workforce planning and strategic human resource management efforts.
So I'll be talking about the next step, which are the theories associated with succession planning. The first one is talent management theory. So these are the 5 core points which are associated with this theory. The first is identification. So identification could be done in 2 parts. One is external, one is internal. External could be maybe you work with another company, maybe a B2B environment, you're working with an agency where the team saw some potential in competitors, employee, and they can probably bring those on. Internal could be, people who are in the employees who are in the company, you can recognize them through personality assessments, different assessment, or maybe they have 6 months review system, 12 months review system. That's how you can identify a talent. So once a talent has been identified, the next step is development. So we need to provide them with, in this series, like with a mentor or probably the workshops, or give them like training after every week, quarterly or something, so they can prepare those employees. The third one is retention, which is the far most difficult thing. After COVID, as you know, maybe probably an employee could work for 20 companies in Windsor, but since COVID happened, everything has changed. Maybe he can work remote and more companies are open to the remote environment. And maybe he can apply for 1,000 different companies. So now the problem is that the most difficult part of this series is the retention. How are you going to retain the talent? That's the most difficult. Even if you spend a lot of money, there might be a startup, which recently got funded and is going to pay you like more salary. So how are you going to retain the talent? So that's the main important part of this theory the team needs to work on. The next one is strategic alignment. So I myself was a victim of this one, because when you work for small or startup companies, sometimes their mission statement, mission values, codes, ethics, and they keep on changing with the time and stuff. So when I was working with a company, so I wasn't myself aligned with that company. So for this theory to work, the employees need to be strategically aligned with the organization goals. Like they need to feel the part of the company, whatever the goals are set, they need to follow them. The next one is continuous improvement. Like you need to have that, like regular strategies, have regular meetings and stuff to continuously improve the environment. So the assessments or the tests associated with this theories are, number one is personality assessment. So personality assessment could be done through standard tests, which is MBTI, DISC, or Big 5. The problem with this test, I feel, is the criticism is, maybe if I'm getting this test and I know, I'm getting a promotion, I might give my answer in a different way. I try to maybe, portray my positive stuff versus the negative stuff. Interviews could be, more challenging because it's a real life thing. It's a real thing. At that spot, maybe you cannot make up answers. So maybe probably the real kind of personality would come out in interviews. Situational judgmental tests, again, these are hypothetical situations. You create, these are the real life problems. You ask the employee to solve them. The next assessment is emotional intelligence. It's all based upon your emotion. How do you feel when you work? What kind of emotions affect you at work? Imagine if your team member or someone is under some emotion, how would you work or contract with that employee and make him work productively? So you can use structured interviews to check if someone is how much is the emotional intelligence, questionnaires, role play exercise, and 360 feedback. So another next one theory is leadership pipeline theory. This focus on a structured approach. This could be like an MTO program, in which an employee gets to work at maybe different departments in 1 year, and then probably he has to assign, in the end, he has to choose which department he needs to work at. So it's like a structural advancement. For example, you work as an intern, you work as an MTO, then you work as a lead, senior, and manager, and you go up the ladder. The skill focus is the same. Maybe if you're working as a lead, probably the kind of the training or the development or the skill focus, the skill polish or the training would be different than to a manager given or maybe to a VP level person given. So succession planning, succession preparedness, leadership transition. So for example, leadership transition is how will the leader exit his role and then a new person comes in. For example, the recent example happened in this university, the dean of business school left, and then there was a professor who became an acting dean. It was such a smooth transition, like the student didn't feel anything, everything was smooth, and there was like a smooth transition. So The theory associated with this is situational judgmental test. So basically this test is about real life scenarios. The stakeholders or the key person, design this test for employees, what kind of daily problems, they encounter, and they put them in those situations and see what kind of responses they have, the behavior and stuff. And then there's the rubric, then there's a scoring criteria, and then in the end, you see the result and you assess, how well did the candidate or the employee score in this test to proceed further. So for the next series, I'll call my colleague.
Hello everyone, good evening. I'm going to explain 3 more theories just my colleague was explaining. Sorry for that. Okay, so for the first one, this is psychological contract theory. So if I want to, the idea was developed initially by Denis Roos. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing the name incorrectly. The theory is, if I try to define it, this is something where one individual's expectations, beliefs, and obligations are perceived by the employer and the workers. This is very important to achieve the organizational succession planning. If I want to explain something from my personal experience, I am working as a part-time sales associate in H&M. So where my employer was, first I was thinking like the employer was expecting something else from me, like engaging most with the customer or something like that. But in reality, my employer was expecting actually something more, like to make the sales more and to achieve the target and the sales target and things like that. So misconceptions and something like that not happens. Because of that, we need to create psychological contract theory. That way, our workplace organization succession and planning can be achieved in a higher rate. For this, we need to identify the key expectations. At first, we need to assess the perception gaps by doing different kind of surveys, by doing different kind of interviews, and we need to develop our strategies continuously. That way, it can make the organizational plan, succession plan very smooth. For example, we can talk about Google. The company, they are promoting their culture of psychological safety. That's forecasting, innovation, and commitment. Google is practicing some, we all know that Google has some kind of, if we know nothing about the company culture or anything, we know that Google has some kind of fun culture or anything in their workplace. So they're trying to ensure their employee psychological safety at first. For my next part, my next theory will be social exchange theory. If I try to define that, it suggests something that employees choose their commitment level at their work based on their perceived support and community from their employer. We can understand that the improve of professional relationships by mapping social networks. They're using some kind of social networks to map their analysis tools. Secondly, they're accessing the reciprocity level to conduct surveys or focus group, things like that. Thirdly, they are trying to measure their employees' performances if they're matching with the performance metrics. For example, I have found Salesforce, the company, it's based in California. They are a cloud-based software company. They are mainly promoting things like customer relationship management with the organization. They make softwares like marketing analysis or tools. They're following this theory, social exchange theory, for their workplace. They're making some kind of wellness program for their employees. That way their employees can feel more safe and they can believe that their commitments, they believe their commitments and their ideas are perceived by their employer. For the third one and my last one will be agency theory. This is a principle that is used to explain and resolve the issue in the relationship between the business principal and the agency. It's something like the give and take relationship between, the organization and the employer. The planning the employers are doing, that should be very much aligned with the organizational goals and missions and visions, things like that. For that, it defines the agent and principal relationship. It helps in analyzing the decision-making process of the organization. And it needs to identify the misalignments between the organizational goal and the employer's planning or their long-term planning they're taking. For that, I have chosen the company IBM. I have found that IBM's leadership development is they are trying to make it work with their aligning with their company strategy. One of their company strategy was their leadership development goal, and for developing that, they are trying to follow agency theories so to make the organization succession plan. For conclusion, I would like to invite our next member.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Faria Ishrat. My fellow groupmates already talked about what is succession planning and how some theories relate to this and to facilitate the process. Today, I'll try to relate those theories with human psychological aspects. We all know that succession planning is very crucial for organizational process aims to identifying and developing high potential employees to ensure a steady leadership pipeline. This involves a 5-step process, which are identifying key positions, recognize high performers, prepare participants, provide developmental opportunities, and monitor progress. Moving forward, we have found that the foundation of succession planning lies within two theories like talent management theory and leadership pipeline model. For talent management plays a significant role in the process, focusing on the strategic identification and development of high potential individuals. Psychological testing such as personality assessments and emotional intelligence evaluation is employed to evaluate leadership qualities and interpersonal skills. The leadership pipeline model provides a structured approach to leadership development, emphasizing skill-focused progression and preparing leaders for higher roles. Situational judgment tests are also used to assess how candidates navigate different leadership levels in this model. Now I'll try to relate those theories in psychological depth and future trends. Understanding succession planning through the lens of human psychology adds depth to the process. Psychological contact theory highlights the unwritten expectation between the employers and the employee, while social exchange theory emphasizes relationship based on mutual benefits. Aligning individual aspirations with organizational goals involves applying agency theory, which aligns individual actions with organizational goals, and career development theory, which emphasizes individual career growth aligned with personal values. The landscape of succession planning may evolve with the changing dynamics of remote work, a greater emphasis on non-material benefits, and the integration of AI, even personalized career paths. And we cannot deny that adaptability is the key factor approach to implement succession planning successfully. So it is very grounded in the continuous improvement and keen understanding of competency gap, talent shortage, and organizational sustained growth is achieved by aligning both organizational strategy and individual development. And I would like to conclude saying that succession planning, success lies in adaptability, aligning organizational strategy and individual development for sustained growth. Thank you, everyone. This is the articles we used for these slides, and here is the reference. And I'd like to ask if you have any questions.
Before that, I want to.
Oh, sure. Oh, you want to show it video?
Yeah, we have time.
You have time.
Piece of the runaway town. In a city not too far away, Farmagood is in the midst of their pain.
You go under display and click mirror screens.
System concepts. And display.
I'm selected it. No. I don't know.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, questions?
So if you have any
What I will tell you is that of all 8 of the topic areas, this one is the one that our client organizations do the least of, right? And so everybody says, oh yes, we've got to have a succession plan, and almost no one's doing it. And it's the psychology of it, because while it's important, it's not going to show positives on the bottom line in the next quarter, the next 2 quarters, the next year, right? And so our clients are committed to it, but they actually aren't, because they don't tend to follow through on it. And so this is one of the areas where you as HR professionals are probably going to struggle a lot, because the payoff may not show up for 10 years, right? Or 5 years, but even that. When we're doing strategic planning, we don't even encourage our clients to go past 2 to 3 years, because we're in a VUCA world, it's too volatile. You can't know what's going to be like 2 years from now. So, but this is something that's internal that you can control. So, but again, there can be a lot of, well, we gotta, let's put it on the meeting agenda for next month. And then a bunch of fires come up and they put out the fires, and then they go, well, we'll put it on the meeting agenda for the following month. And it just keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. And then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, somebody just told us they're gonna retire in a year, and we haven't got anybody in the pipeline, So this one is a really important one for you guys to wrap your heads around out there, and to not maybe fall victim or try to leverage this into a place in the companies you're in where it is a priority. And it can be really hard because of the sort of the psychology of it. It doesn't pay off immediately. So what were some of the trends that you guys saw out there around the actual practice?
So for the recent trends, the biggest problem and the challenge for the companies is, to retain the talent. So whenever, they invest in someone, they keep bringing on, they bring in, give him some kind of title, give him compensation. But in the end, what happens is, because of this, because of COVID and stuff, they came, and a lot of, leadership or people, they fall out. And another problem is, there are multiple candidates who are going through, and initially in the end, one is going to make to the top position, or actually one is going to be, getting the position. So the problem is the rest of the field, the rest of the pool of the candidates, somehow they feel they're not gonna make it. So in that time they're switching companies or moving to stuff. So whatever the theory is, everything you do in place, you start from the beginning and do it in the end, but somehow the candidates fall through the crack. And sometimes what happens in the big companies is because of the board of directors, they try to decide who they want to bring in. Sometimes there is an acquisition or merger happening, just before they want to bring a new leader. So probably board of directors would be deciding the person they want to bring on for this company instead of the person who was internally promoted for the years and stuff. So that's the kind of the trend. I mean, it's not 100% of the time, but most of the time it happens.
Has anybody been in a company that's had a good succession plan, or been put in? Yeah.
Yes. Previously, I worked in a company back in my country where there was a great succession planning tool or practice like this. There was a girl who was a Harvard graduate, and she graduated masters from Harvard in accounting. So she was a very base level in our company, but it was not fortunate for her because she was more capable than that. But it was promised that if you prove us that you are capable, you'll be put it in higher ladder. So at first she was very base level, working with the lower level employees of accounting department and other departments. And eventually within 6 years, she got promotion and became the CEO of the company. So it was really great. She really knows how to deal with the people who are in middle level, lower level, and now she can easily make decisions for the company, and it is really very beneficial for the organization. I know it is very fast, 6 years, become a CEO, it's fast, but it was really working because she has the capability.
And sometimes, the progress or the change is not visible. Most of the time it's not visible, it's going to happen, but internally and stuff, organization and companies, they're doing, but that's like how you said in the beginning, it's not visible to maybe your different employees and stuff. It's not that visible, if someone is feeling like, okay, the change is happening, we are gonna get promoted, or this is happening with our seniors, we also get a chance to, move up the ladder, so, yeah.
Did you come across any tensions that can be created with a good succession plan? Like downsides?
Yeah.
This is Anjali's question last time. Stealing from her. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, some people feel threatened about it, like this girl will take my position, I will not help her, I will not give him proper training or do the succession planning properly. They just misguide with them, mislead with this different information, and this really sucks. So it was difficult and cope over it.
Yeah, that's what most of the company does. Imagine if someone is at the high level, is taking more salary, and I'm more junior to him, and I've learned everything, and I can probably take his job. So why would the company would keep that person, and why not? They're gonna make me hire and pay me just a little bit more and keep it going. So it happens a lot in the company. So most of the times, even the seniors, or I haven't seen, not successfully this thing happening. They don't want to teach you everything, because if you learn everything, of course, one day you're gonna cost like their job in the end. So that's. Even the from the management side, even if the HR they want to do this like in an effective way, there are different barriers of people who don't want you to succeed at this.
The judging subject, yeah.
So you could actually undo a culture of safety by creating a succession plan that pits people against each other, right? And that, so that leads to the question of, should people who are in the pipeline know that they're in the pipeline or not? What do you guys think?
I mean, that's a good question, because when I was doing the assessment, imagine if you tell a candidate you're doing assessment for being promoted or being for a leadership position, the result's not gonna come good. Maybe, you can just tell them, hey, it's like a generic something which is happening, we're just checking out something. So yeah, it's a good point probably, we shouldn't let them know this is happening, and then, yeah, so.
Just a comment. So are you suggesting that if people are in the pipeline towards succession planning, they should not know about that?
For certain positions, you can do that, probably for junior level. For example, if you want to make someone a lead for a team. So lead is someone, who probably just leads the team, not manage the team. But for those kind of positions, you can do that. You don't need to let them know, like, we're gonna make you the future leader, we're gonna make you the future manager. But for senior managerial position, for VP, for those kind of positions, of course, you have to probably disclose that to the.
Just a friendly argument. So, as you were saying that if it's about a person who's going to be a leader of a certain group, not a VP or president or anything. So sometimes, if the organization is big, for example, my previous one, it was big, it was really big, it was a bank. So those kind of people, if they are going to be in charge of a particular group or a particular department, they have to have that mindset that I'm going to lead this group of people. So what do you propose? If they don't know that they're going to lead them in near future, so how do they prepare themselves?
So that's what the preparation is about. That's why there's tests. That's why there's interviews. That's why there are mock things we do. We try to see if they have those leadership capabilities or qualities or not. It's not that you're just performing. You have. That's why those tests or the theories I talked about. That's how we check if someone has those skills and stuff, and someone can become a leader. So.
But don't you think if they already know that they are, in the process of becoming a leader, or they are being assessed because of that, so they put their 100% if they already know it. So I think it's better to tell them in advance whatever the assessments are of, so that they're giving their 100% and they are in a positive process of it.
Another comment is that if they don't know that they are going to be in the pipeline, they are being considered for the succession planning or whatsoever, they themselves are very aware of their capabilities. So don't you think it's a sort of threat for the company to lose a star performer? They might be looking for some better jobs, and companies might be after them because they know that they are good.
No, I mean that's normal. Imagine if I'm normal, that thing happened to me as well, because I was working as an intern and they promoted me to a bigger position. So it's a normal thing. So if you're doing something good, you're gonna get the reward for it. And it's like I said, retention is the most difficult thing. Even if someone is a VP, you're paying him $250K budget, whatever package. If he wants to leave, he will leave. that's the possibility. It's always there, you know, within the company. And, like good people leave, you know. That's always there, you know. So.
Question.
Not a question, just in response to this, and your thought that you wouldn't tell anybody, like
For the like,
correct,
yeah.
even lower level, but like my point of view over here, given all of us are in HR, it's all about being diplomatic, right? You're not going to say you're getting the role. It's about saying that, hey, you're being staged for it. We want to see your capabilities, and we will observe you over X period of time to see how you're able to do it at the next level. If you do it, you perform well, you might get that, right? You're not giving them the role yet, but you're telling them so that they, like what they said, they aspire, they'll perform more, they won't look externally, all those things you're sort of saving them from, and you're keeping that talent, but you're giving them a little bit of a carrot to say that you're going to get this at the end, right? But again, there's no guarantee, right? Because it depends on budgets, it depends on 100 other things that, your compensation team will have to look at.
See, absolutely, you're right. That's the thing. This is the most difficult topic. So imagine if you're gonna tell people they're in the pool and they get disheartened in the end. They don't get to promote and stuff. So I mean,
But at least they know that they were in the pool, right? Speaking from a personal example, right? My own situation where, I knew that, okay, something was coming. I wouldn't have put that effort if I knew I was nowhere in the pool. Why, right? If I don't know what's coming in my future, what am I aspiring for? Why am I, going the extra mile? Why am I doing more than my colleagues if I'm going to be the same? I'm getting paid the same as my colleague. Why should I do more if I don't have something at the end of it? Whether I get it or not is immaterial. That is not in my hand. And I think even if you start from scratch, eventually you understand that certain things are beyond your control. What is in your control is the effort you put in. Whatever comes out of it is after that, right? And as a manager, that's the only thing you sort of need to drive, right? That's why my perspective is that clarity is important versus not telling them, because not telling them could, in fact, it might just be counterintuitive to the entire thing.
Correct. Yeah.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Yes. And
so that's why different organizations do different things in different ways, because they've got different people who think different.
This is the sensitivity of doing this, is that you can do cultural damage by telling them. You can do cultural damage by not telling them, right? And it can depend. We had one client that had 10 managers, and they were looking at 5 of them for director jobs. And so they only trained the 5. So they only took those, of the 10, they took 5 and trained them. The other 5 were like, well, what the hell, right? Why am I here, right? And the other 5 kind of got all cocky, and they were like, yeah, well, we're the ones that are up and coming, right? So it didn't, and you were talking about, hey, we're gonna let you know that we're considering this, but you're not promised something. Right? Because if it's promised, then suddenly I'm starting to think like I can act like I have the job when indeed I don't. And it can, and you don't even have to be a narcissist to fall into that, right? You could simply kind of get, full of yourself and that's the expression, thinking I'm better than I am, right? But it can also feel really good to know that, hey, we think you have potential, and we value what you're doing now, and we see you as possibly growing into a leadership role. So it's a very tenuous kind of situation, so that you don't do damage to your culture, because, well, culture is king, right? Culture is everything as to how your actual work gets done. We're going to be emphasizing this as we wrap up the course together. But so you guys really got the sensitivities of this. And like I said, this is probably, I don't think there's any of the other 8 areas that get less attention.
No.
This is the one in the real world, right? And everybody values it. Everybody says it's important. Nobody says it's not important. The other thing about it is we've seen this happen where, somebody, they think things are pretty good. We don't have to think about succession planning for a while. Nobody's really getting close to retirement. We've got another 5-10 years. And then a senior person dies, right? So we had a leadership team assembled to lead a major culture change initiative in a highly toxic environment. It took probably 18 months to get that team in place. They were ready to launch. The number 2 in that team woke up one morning, took his dog for a walk. He was 42 years of age, and he dropped dead in the walk. Okay, Absolutely, I did. Pushed that back by 2 years at least, the culture change, which meant that the cultural dysfunction continued. That one was kind of a strange one because, you know, it was hard enough to build the leadership team who were willing to lead that change. But then we were vulnerable by the loss of one person, you know, and it was tragic, and the company went into grieving. He was well liked and admired. He was a friend of ours in a way, not a friend, but we worked with him closely. Now, when we're doing succession planning, we don't talk so much as what if one of you dies. We say, what if one of you wins the lottery tomorrow? Okay? That's how we frame it, to make it a little safer, right? Okay, so, you know, you win the lottery tomorrow, you're gone and happy about it. What are we gonna do, right? Who's gonna backfill? Are we prepared for that? Right? And so that's great, great work. But keep the lottery one in mind as opposed to what if somebody dies? Okay? Nobody likes that one, but they don't mind the lottery one so much. So great job, guys. And so we'll see you guys up there. And remember, any groups coming next week, try to get a MacBook because that's the only thing that we know how to get projecting correctly up there for your presentation. Even the laptop here, for some reason, it's weird. So yes, I'll be producing a class, the one that you missed, to wrap up reality and culture. So that'll be coming out. You'll be able to watch it whenever you want. Okay, it'll be a regular length class, and that'll be coming out shortly. Okay, so great job, well done. And,
Okay, let me put you on this one. It didn't need a team that's all uniform, you know. But this is close. This is close. That was great. So yeah, based on the rubric, the grading divided into cognitive comprehension, critical thinking, creative thinking, and
then I made
so some quick points. Glad you started with an agenda. And what we're doing is your intro a little bit stronger to keep staff.
Oh, that's good.
In there. Use later on. We started with that. Actually, care about this. Talk about 5 steps. And you mentioned something later on, is ready now, but who's gonna be ready in 5 years?
She was in the class, but I have your teacher and I'll make it forget. Waiting for do it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Long-term thinking, and our brains have a hard time imagining things that are not there. So I'm glad you brought in psychological theories and theories associated with talent management. You said talent retention is hard. We have competitive employers, right? We don't know what someone's going to leave. Talk about psychological contract theory, brought in Google, agency theory, IBM, psychological insights and future trends, glad you brought in the future trends. And then, you know, I'm glad you used the word threat in the question because it is an ego threat, right? Why should I actually use it? I'm never gonna die, I'm never gonna win the lottery. It becomes this self elevation thing. That's only I'm the only person who could do my job. So content comprehension, you introduce the topic well, demonstrate a good understanding of the topic, all the concepts you present are fully relevant, address all the questions from the professor and classmates, you showed some critical thinking. I'm glad you brought in all the examples, and even the dean as an example. That made it alive.
One more.